fell on my one wheel, okay? I'm okay, but that's why I have that. Guys, today I'm gonna be reviewing a drone. Aerials was kind enough to send me it. Let me get the drone real quick. It's the Centurion, designed by them, and it's like a collaboration with them and iFlight. I'm not gonna hold the drone for this whole intro because it's a big Cinelifter, it's really heavy. But the reason that I actually said yes to this review video, Aerials, if you've looked at their other drone designs, they are really unique and very much so designed around filmmaking. Or like being drones that are used on set, because if you haven't seen Aerials' portfolio of work, definitely go check out their Instagram. I think their pilots are Josh Henriquez and Alice Van Jason. Just look at some of their work. They're absolutely phenomenal, and they design these drones so that they can do their job on set the best. And as I do more drone filming work, I wanted to see what was up and how these drones can, improve my time on set. So given that this drone is designed with filmmaking in mind, let's see how it is for that, and also just how it is as a Cinelifter. And I've been actually flying this drone for 2-3 months now, so I do have a lot of testing with it. So hopefully I can explain my experiences that I've had and just the drone in general as best as I can, blurb it out of my mouth to you guys. But first, I just want to show you guys some footage that I've captured with this drone. But let me just show you guys that little montage real quick. So when I'm reviewing a drone, either for content or just judging the drone in my brain to see if I like it or not, I usually try to boil it down to the 3 things that it needs to be good at for its specific use case. So I have a lot of experience with freestyle drones. So if I were reviewing a freestyle drone today, it'd be like flight performance, durability, and ease of repair, right? This drone is obviously not a freestyle drone, so I'm gonna boil it down to a couple different points. Flight performance is going to stay the same, and speed of use. I'll get into what that actually means a little bit later. Honestly, I couldn't really think of another thing that was really important for Cinelifter design. I just kind of want to go into a little bit of depth about those 2 points. So the flight performance. We're going to go ahead and do a flight for you guys actually here. So I'm at this sweet little park somewhere in the world. You guys don't even know where I live. When I'm testing for flight performance, a couple things I want to look at is how smooth does the drone fly, and how powerful is it? Power to efficiency ratio. Honestly, the most important thing for me is how well does it fly smoothly. So when you're pulling out of a dive, is there any little prop wash? And that really has to do with how they tuned it. If I didn't mention already, this is a bind and fly drone. So I picked this drone out the box, put the props on, bound my radio, and that's it. So all of this flight footage is exactly how the drone will fly if you receive it. The only thing I did change, I'll let you guys know, is my rates. Just because I feel like I can better feel how the drone itself is flying if I change my rates to what I'm used to. So both speeding, let me just go ahead and launch. Go ahead and get up in the air. Launching. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of fly it in a straight line and see if there's any weird jitters that it gets to in mid-throttle, mid-throttle oscillations, for example. Let's see. Hands are pretty much off the sticks. And hit a little tree there. And the drone is flying very smooth, which is phenomenal. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and do a little dive test. So I'm going to go up pretty high, actually, and then dive down and catch it. And then we'll see if we get any prop wash. I'm going to try to force it into prop wash, actually. So catch it kind of hard. That was really good. I have not done that with this drone yet, and it did handle that really well. Let's try it one more time. So there was some there. That was actually a pretty decent amount, but obviously when you are on set filming, hopefully you're never doing a move like that where you're just falling down and catching it like that with a bunch of prop wash. So I'm gonna just do a little dive like I would do potentially for a shot. So let's just go ahead and like start here and dive over these trees. And I think that it handled that very well. When I kind of got lost in the flow there. So I was trying to explain it while it's flying, but I just got lost in the flow, like I said earlier. So this drone for a bind and fly honestly makes me a little annoyed about how good these bind and flies just directly off the shelves are flying. I mean, as you just saw, that footage was all unstabilized using the Blackmagic Pocket 4K with a 7.5 mil lens, so like equivalent to 15 mil. For a drone that is like not necessarily tuned for this exact camera, this exact battery, this exact weight, the drone flies phenomenally. On the shoots that I have used this drone on, I have had no issue doing the moves that I need the drone to do, which honestly is the most important thing. You need to make sure that your drones are flying very good so that you're not fighting the drone to get the shot. And with this thing, I'm definitely not fighting the drone. If anything, I'm just fighting pilot skill and ability. So for flight performance in like the smoothness sector, this drone flies phenomenally. Probably one of the, in general, the better bind and flies that I've flown. I have a surprising amount of experience flying bind and flies just because either other people ask me to fly their drones, or honestly for freestyle right now, I'm just flying bind and flies from Rotor Riot. And this drone performs very good. So this drone flies very well. I don't know, honestly, they sent this to me to do a review on it. I don't know if they did some extra secret sauce special stuff in it, or if they manually flew it themselves before and tuned it. But if this is just a drone that they took off the shelf and threw their, copy paste tune on, this drone flies very, very well. So yeah, awesome job with the flight performance in general of this drone. I don't know how it could even get much better for a bind and fly, especially for a Cinelifter. So good there. All right. So now to talk about speed of use, what exactly I mean by that. When you're on set, one thing that's very important is to be uber efficient with like how quickly it takes you to swap batteries, how quickly it takes you to get the drone ready for basically a shot or a flight. I just want to quickly go over how I think this drone handles the situations to make life on set more efficient. Because the last thing you want is to be on set and you're like, hey, we gotta get this drone up, and then you're just like, oh shoot, I gotta change my battery, I gotta change my camera, and it's just like taking forever because the drone is designed poorly. I don't think this drone is designed poorly, by the way. Let me bring it up.
That was a weird transition, but this is future voiceover Caleb, because I have filmed this review video twice now, and somehow both times I've managed to mess up the audio during like this section. I don't know what curse there is upon me right now. It's making this audio not work for the section. So we're just gonna go ahead and voice over it. So the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about trying to get back in the air as fast as possible is how quickly can you swap batteries. That's really the only thing that you have to swap out, in between flights. And this drone has a really cool feature. It has a quick release plate, so there are 2 metal prongs that you squeeze and the battery will just plop, come right out, and then you just slide one right back in, and you could change your batteries in less than 5 seconds. So while that feature is really nice, this bind and fly only comes with 1 quick release plate. So it doesn't actually, this quick release plate feature doesn't actually benefit you unless you have multiple of them. So really great that they had them, but I wish they had at least 2. So maybe while you're, quickly swap the battery, and then the battery that's dead while you're flying, your AC or your tech can be swapping the battery, a new battery to the quick release plate. So definitely, if you get this frame, pick up some more of these quick release plates. Really awesome that they have it, but I wish they came with 2. Still on the topic of, batteries, it would be really cool if this drone had genuine hot swap. So not the quick release plate, but by hot swap, I mean being able to plug in a new battery while the old battery is still plugged in, so that you don't have to wait for your drone to reboot. Drones like the DJI Inspire have this feature where you can hot swap the battery so that the drone never fully powers down. I think that feature in a Cinelifter, a bind and fly Cinelifter, would be amazing, and I'd love to see that in the future with these drones.
Okay, drone performed very well for the flight performance section and the speed of use section that we just spoke about. Absolutely did a killer job, especially for a bind and fly. Honestly, I'm gonna stop making an emphasis it's a bind and fly, because as a drone in general, it absolutely crushed those two areas that I was judging. English, right? But before I wrap up this video, I kind of just wanted to go into a little bit more detail about the other little design choices of this drone. Nothing that really affects the 2 points that I was talking about earlier. Just little things that I like, and also little things that I dislike. We're gonna go bottom up. So going to the quick release plate for the battery, see these 3D printed pieces here that they have on the carbon plate so that the battery strap isn't actually the thing touching the floor? These are just friction fit on there. And these fall off super easily with the way that they come. There's no glue or anything holding them in. On my first flight, 3 out of the 4 fell off, and they're somewhere, I don't even know what park I was flying at, but they all just flew off. So if you're gonna use these 3D printed parts, definitely try to put some super glue in there, which is what I did for these, and they're not going anywhere. So not big of a deal, but when you do get this drone, definitely put some super glue in there to keep those 3D prints on there. Going up, we talked about the quick release plate. I think the design is really good. Just pinch those 2 in and keep going.
Moving up to the center of the frame, the receiver is actually right there where I'm pointing my finger. One thing that I really love about it is that they have a plug that is soldered onto the receiver. So I ended up changing the ELRS receiver that was on here to a Crossfire, and I didn't have to open the drone at all. I would just unplugged the ELRS receiver and soldered on the connector to Crossfire and just plugged it right in, and it worked great. One thing that I do not like about this is, so you see where the antenna runs on the back of the arms, they just have that held down with a little piece of gaff tape, and the tape kept unraveling, and it's almost like the tape had no stickiness to it. So I did end up having to run some zip ties around there to keep the receiver antenna actually attached to the arm so that it wouldn't get chopped by their propellers.
I honestly really love the antenna placement though. I think having the antennas come out the back of the arms in between the motors like that is pretty brilliant. The one thing that I was worried about was if somehow the antenna flexes, is it gonna get chopped by the propeller? This happened when I hit a branch, so I'm not gonna give them negative points against this, but the amount of thrust that you would need to actually bend these with propeller power, it's just not there. So I think this is probably one of the better places that you can mount the antennas because it's so far away from the carbon body, so you get really good RF reception. And also, it just looks really sleek. Like, I don't have, when I'm packing this thing in my hard case, I don't ever feel like I have to bend the antennas in a way that I think can damage them.
So moving to the top of the frame, the biggest thing that I noticed right when I opened the box was that there are two XT30s that give 12 volt out, so you can power your camera, and you can also power something like a DJI transmission. I think the fact that they have the regulators on there to power it directly from the drone is a very smart move, and I'm very glad that they did that. There is one little design flaw with this XT30 12 volt out, and that is honestly kind of annoying, is so the place that the regulator is, it's attached to the bottom of the camera, of the cinema camera mount. So whenever you go to change your cinema camera, you have to, lift the plate up. And every time you lift the plate up, the XT30 comes unplugged from the regulator, and you have to go in there with tweezers to get it plugged in. I think this could just be solved if they used a little bit longer wire in there so that there was never tension on the XT30s when the camera mount was lifted up. That is probably the most annoying thing about this frame design. It's not that big of a deal, but just do keep in mind that when you are swapping your cameras, to make sure that the XT30 is fully plugged in, because you might go to plug in your camera and it's like, why is there no power? And it's like, well, because the XT30 isn't plugged into the regulator. But going to the camera mount itself, like for mounting cameras, I've flown this with a Blackmagic, a Freefly Wave, and a Red Komodo, and it fit them all perfectly. And I always like to use wide lenses, and I didn't have any props in view at like 10-15 degrees, so that's a huge plus. And I think with that variety of camera that I used, there's not really many other weird shaped cameras that I can think of that wouldn't fit on this frame. So it does a great job with versatility of being able to use basically any cinema camera that you would want to use out there.
But overall, my stance for this drone review of the Two-Raw Aerials Centurion is, it is a phenomenal bind and fly drone. It's a phenomenal drone just in general for anyone to use if they want to get into the Cinelifter world. So I built my first Cinelifter just because I was, well, if I'm gonna be honest, I was able to get some free parts from sponsors. So I was just like, it'd be cheaper to build it than to buy it. And usually that is always the case. This drone does come in at like, I think it's $3,000. I'll put the text on screen if it's different than that. And that is a pretty hefty price tag for a drone for a lot of people. I do think if you are doing like Cinelifter work, like 1 or 2 jobs will cover that cost easily. But just the initial price is definitely pretty high. But I do think for that price, so that they did absolutely crush it. The drone, it checks all the boxes. The drone flies amazing. So overall, the Two-Raw Aerials Centurion is a phenomenal bind and fly Cinelifter. It's definitely the one that I'd recommend if you want no hassle in building your own. You just want to get a Cinelifter, chuck a $6,000 camera on there, and fly. Two-Raw Aerials Centurion is definitely the way. There will be links in the description if you want to purchase them. They're not affiliate links. They are not anything, so you're welcome to click the link or not click the link. I don't really care. But really awesome job, Two-Raw Aerials. Definitely go check out some of their just work in general. If you want to be inspired for like cool shots, they have done so many cool creative shoots, so definitely go check that out. It's been a minute since I posted a video. I think I'm gonna post a freestyle video soon, but we'll see. I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this video with some more flying since it is so pretty outside, so let's go ahead and get some sick flying in.